Right now, it's been more than a year since the Hamas October 7th terrorist attacks, how the war in the Middle East is affecting students at home. Plus, talking about democracy, the National Veterans Organization encouraging political discussions with a mug of beer. And helping give food to those in need, how the city of Madison's seed program grants are feeding the community. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Thank you for joining us. It's been 365 days of intense conflict in the Middle East. Last October 7th, the terrorist group Hamas attacked Israel. And for many right here in Madison, the war has meant a year of fear and grieving. Greg Steinberger is the president and CEO of Hillel, the Jewish student organization at UW-Madison. He's been working with Jewish students on campus for 25 years. Steinberger says students continue to feel the effects of the most recent year-long conflict right here on campus.
I got calls last night from folks who said, I'm having trouble sleeping. I have such anxiety. I'm worried about the hostages. I'm worried about what tomorrow brings. Will there be demonstrations, counter demonstrations?
According to the Anti-Defamation League, there have been more than 10,000 anti-Semitic incidents since last October 7th, the highest number the league has ever recorded in the span of a year. And Israel is marking 1 year since that terrorist attack that killed about 1,200 men, women, and children. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visiting the October 7th memorial in Jerusalem. He thanked U.S. Senators Richard Blumenthal and Lindsey Graham, who traveled to Israel to mark the day. At the White House, a rabbi led a prayer before President Biden lit a candle for the victims and their families. Yasmin Magal attended a remembrance at the National Mall in honor of her cousin, an Israeli-American citizen who is one of about 100 still being held in Gaza.
What do you think is going to help bring back Omar and the other hostages who remain?
I think the leaders of the world need to work together to get a deal. Sadly, we do have to make a deal with Hamas because this is the only way to get them back alive.
Both former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris commemorating October 7th with events of their own. The remembrance comes as people in the Middle East fear a widening conflict. Well, back home, there's a frost advisory in effect for northern Wisconsin, but a warm-up is on the way this week. Let's check in with meteorologist Jacob Montesano for when we could reach the 70s and maybe 80s, Jacob?
Yeah, 80s are possibly in the forecast by the end of this week. But first, I do want to talk about today. Now, it definitely felt a little bit chilly, but today's temperatures, that's what we normally see for this time of the year. The 70s and even 80s last week, that's certainly not normal for this time of the year. Now, as we look at the current conditions, 47 degrees, mostly clear skies. Across the area, we're mostly talking about temperatures in the 40s. A few areas still hanging on to the 50s, but central Wisconsin actually has some places in the 30s, so it is going to be a pretty chilly one tonight, as a lot of the area will drop to possibly around the upper 30s, maybe lower 40s for most of us, but still, this will be one of the cooler nights so far this season. And then as we head into the day tomorrow, we're going to see very nice conditions by the afternoon after that cold morning with highs right around 70 with mostly sunny skies. Now, we're going to remain sunny for the next few days as temperatures warm up. And like I mentioned, 80s are possible. I'll talk more in detail about that and give an update on the tropics. I'll call of all those details coming up a bit later.
Jacob, thank you. It's the beginning of National Fire Prevention Week. A national statistic states roughly 3 out of 5 fire deaths happen in homes without a working smoke alarm or none at all. The Madison Fire Department is hoping the public will take action checking their home's alarms. And you can do this in 3 steps: installing an alarm in each bedroom and on every floor, testing at least once a month, and replacing when the alarms are 10 years old or when they stop responding when tested.
If everybody took care of themselves first by thinking about, hey, make sure you're standing by your pan when you're cooking, don't go answer the door. Those are the kind of things we want people to be proactive about, and then hopefully then if we're proactive, we don't have to roll the big red rigs.
The department plans to visit each of Madison's elementary schools for Fire Prevention Week with the goal to get the youngest members of our community informed about fire safety to take back to their homes. And President Joe Biden plans to visit the Badger State tomorrow. Biden will be in Milwaukee. He's set to discuss his administration's progress in replacing lead pipes in Wisconsin and across the country. President Biden's administration says this stop is not a campaign stop for the Harris Walz ticket, but a White House event. And Gwen Walls will be in Madison and Beloit on Wednesday. These will be her 6th and 7th stops in Wisconsin since her husband, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, became the Democratic nominee for vice president. According to the Harris campaign, Walz is expected to talk about abortion rights and taxes. She'll be in Beloit at 10 in the morning and Madison at noon. And while Democrats are campaigning for the top of the ticket, there are many local legislative races that are also drawing national attention. Democrats think they have a better shot this year than they have in a while because the state Supreme Court drew new district lines, which puts more seats in play for them. The top Democrat in the state assembly says these down-ballot races can be decided by a few hundred votes, so voters' voices carry a lot of weight.
Voters have a huge amount of power in our state to decide the assembly majority, to decide several important congressional, and of course our Senate seat.
So why are these local, state, and assembly Senate races important? These are the lawmakers that help determine abortion regulation in Wisconsin and help set things like funding for your local schools. And a National Veterans Association comes to the Madison area this year to discuss this year's election. Democracy First and Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America partnered together to hold a Veterans Talk Democracy event in Fitchburg. The discussion is part of a series called Pints and Patriotism. Veterans and community members were encouraged to join in on a conversation about the need to protect democracy and the rule of law in 2024.
There are a lot of patriots in this country, both veterans and non-veterans, who want to have a thoughtful conversation about the future of our country and want to be able to wrestle with their neighbors around some of these issues, but don't feel like they can have a safe place to have those conversations. And we've been able to do that.
Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America is a veterans advocacy organization with more than 425,000 members across the nation. Voting rights advocates in Milwaukee rally in favor of reinstating ballot drop boxes after the state Supreme Court revisits a 2022 decision that banned them. Advocates argue that absentee ballot drop boxes have been used for decades as a way to secure return ballots. In the past, GOP leaders have claimed that drop boxes lead to voter fraud. But community leaders are countering, saying not having drop boxes is an attack on democracy and those eligible to vote should do so without obstacles. And the U.S. Supreme Court's new term will cover some high-profile cases. Today, justices let stand a lower court decision saying Texas hospitals cannot be required to provide emergency abortions that violate state law, a blow to an appeal by the Biden administration. The nation's highest court will hear arguments tomorrow in a case about whether the federal government can regulate untraceable firearms known as ghost guns.
It's a case that deals with the power of the ATF, a federal agency, to issue a regulation that says we're going to treat ghost guns, those guns where you can get as an online kit, there's no serial number, there are no background checks. The ATF, a federal agency, tried to say, we want to treat ghost guns the same as all other firearms under federal law, meaning you would need a serial number, you would need background checks.
Later this year, the court is set to take up the controversial concept of medical transition treatment for transgender children. The High Court could also be called to resolve any disputes stemming from the outcome of the presidential election. Smaller stalks of corn are making a big difference over in Iowa. The lower profile crops got more attention after the 2020 derecho ravaged countless acres of corn across the state. Farmers say the more compact plants allow for more seeds to be planted, especially in tighter rows, meaning a higher yield. Those tight rows also block sunlight from reaching weeds below and can even protect soil from heavy downpours.
Over the years, we have like a heavy rain event. Well, when you've got canopy across that field, that keeps that rain from pounding on that ground and washing so much of your topsoil away.
Farmers that adopt shorter varieties will need to adjust fertilizer and other applications on the field, but the days of corn soaring above our heads could be numbered. And the city of Madison is highlighting the success of their seed program. The initiative started back in 2014 and looks to provide funds every year to projects dedicated to expanding access to healthy food across the city. Recently, the UW Extension published an evaluation report on the program. It found nearly $50,000 were dispersed every year by the city, with the maximum award being $10,000. The average applicant received around $3,500 in funds to kickstart their own organization.
The report found that some of the people who had received grants in the past said, they had an initial grant of $3,600. And since they've started that program, they've been able to grow that enterprise into something that's got an annual budget of more than $167,000. So, it's that first small investment that really helps kickstart these initiatives and helps them grow to do that good in the community.
Applications for the 2025 SEED program grants are set to open soon. More information on the applications can be found on the City of Madison's website. Well, coming up on News 3 Now at 10, Jacob tells us about when that heat could move back into the region and another hurricane heading towards Florida, how residents are preparing after the devastation left by Helene.
When replacing your windows, you want them to be built by the best and backed by the best. That's what you'll get with replacement windows only available from Renewal by Andersen. When you choose Renewal by Andersen and want to keep remodeling, you're not getting a one-size-fits-all product. From design and sales to manufacturing, installation, and service, we own the entire process. This month only, save $377 per window and $777 per patio door, plus 1 year no payment, no interest financing. Visit wanakeremodeling.com for more details.
Shop the largest selection of Chevy trucks and SUVs in Wisconsin at Bergstrom Chevrolet. Lease a new Silverado 1500 starting at $355 a month, or a 24 Equinox EV starting at $299 a month. Stop in or shop and purchase at BergstromMadison.com.
At RG Heating and Air Conditioning, our promise to you is 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Guaranteed service, repairs, and replacements. Installing quality Trane equipment. Trust your home with RG Heating and AC.
At DePaco, your health and happiness are as important to us as your financial well-being. So when retirement is on the horizon, we'll help ensure you're ready for your next adventure, providing you freedom to focus on what truly brings you joy. Well-being is the key to a life worth loving. So when you think about yours, remember that DePaco can help you be well.
I worked as a truck driver for 36 years.
And then one day I got this letter.
Your retirement will be cut.
Will be cut in half.
You don't forget something like that.
Every paycheck we put money away. But because of Wall Street greed, boom, it was gone.
But Tammy Baldwin saw what they were doing and wrote a bill to save our retirement.
Then she fought like hell to pass it.
What Tammy Baldwin did for our families, you don't forget something like that.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
He murdered a father of 3, sentenced to life in prison. Kamala Harris pushed to use tax dollars to pay for his sex change.
I made sure that they changed the policy so that every transgender inmate would have access.
It sounds insane because it is insane. Kamala was the first to help pay for a prisoner's sex change.
The power that I had, I used it in a way that was about pushing for the movement, frankly, and the agenda.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Prices are up, wages are down, inflation is crushing Wisconsin families. Yet Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Even more radical, Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. Tax hikes and higher prices for families and those living on fixed incomes. That's Kieski's record. Expensive and extreme. Reject Sarah Kieski and her radical agenda.
The final sprint to Election Day is on, and News 3 Now this morning is focused on the races and the policies that matter to you, the voter.
We're taking a look at both sides of the issues and where the candidates stand so you can cast your vote with confidence.
3 for the people, only on News 3 Now. You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
It's been only 11 days since Hurricane Helene slammed into Florida's Big Bend area as a Category 4 hurricane. Now, Hurricane Milton is on its way. The storm has strengthened to a Category 5 hurricane. Sherelle Hubbard has more on how Floridians are prepping.
In a routine that's become all too familiar, Florida residents are preparing. Some by filling sandbags, some evacuating, all doing the best they can to prepare for yet another life-threatening storm. FEMA with a firm warning to those with evacuation orders.
They need to get out.
Some heeding the message. Florida highways were crammed Monday with what state officials expect could be the largest evacuation since 2017's Hurricane Irma. Milton threatened storm surge, rain, and flash flooding. But due to Hurricane Helene's devastation, there's another threat, the potential for flying debris.
We still have significant amount of debris cleanup to do across the barrier islands to make sure that that doesn't become projectiles in this coming hurricane.
Florida's governor has deployed the National Guard to help assist with debris removal that could cause more damage from Milton's forecasted winds, which got up to 180 miles per hour Monday. The storm is projected to weaken and make landfall as a Category 3 near the Tampa area on Wednesday, packing 120 mile per hour winds. Its dangerous eye and eye wall could come ashore anywhere from Cedar Key in the north to Naples in the south.
If they have called for your evacuation order, I beg you, I implore you to evacuate. Drowning deaths due to storm surge are 100% preventable if you leave.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And Hurricane Helene may have hit many homeowners in their wallets. The Category 4 hurricane caused up to $47.5 billion worth of damage, according to CoreLogic. The data analytics firm adds that roughly half of that total comes from uninsured flood losses. Helene's wrath was felt in 16 states, including Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. At least 232 deaths have been reported from Helene, which makes it the second most fatal hurricane to hit the U.S. mainland in the past half-century. The world's rivers are drying up, and the United Nations Weather Agency says it's a huge red flag for the climate. 2023 was the most parched period for the world's rivers in more than 3 decades. The World Meteorological Organization says record heat caused prolonged droughts in some regions, leading to the driest spell in 33 years. Around 3.6 billion people don't have adequate access to water for at least 1 month a year, and that figure is expected to rise to 5 billion by 2050.
We had never such a large area around the world which was under such dry conditions.
Water is becoming the most telling indicator of our climate's distress. And yet, as a global society, we are not taking bold action to protect this resource.
Climate experts say rising temperatures have contributed to the water cycle being more erratic, though both severe droughts and intense floods. Well, a team finds a Navy destroyer 8 decades after it sank, and one thing that makes this ship so special, it served on both sides during World War II. The USS Stewart was captured by the Japanese and turned against U.S. forces. The Navy recovered the vessel after the war sank at her miles off the Golden Gate Bridge. This summer, a company called Ocean Infinity were testing autonomous underwater vehicles in the area using records from Navy archives and a special permit from the NOAA. The team honed in on the wreckage.
They dropped the ROV and they drove it where we asked them to take it. And for 2.5 hours, we explored Stewart, comparing exciting notes back and forth with each other, saying, "Did you see that? What about this?"
The Stewart is still the property of the United States Navy, and the mission was not a salvage operation. The survey team says the Stewart is sitting nearly upright, 3,500 feet above water. Well, the 70-degree weather could return over the coming days. Meteorologist Jacob Montesano has more on the warm-up. What do you think about them finding that ship, Jacob?
You know, when you said the beginning of the story, I thought you said 8 years. Then you said served in World War II, and I had a little bit of a head scratcher. You said 8 decades.
Yes.
That makes a little bit more sense. Anyway, let's take a look at the 3 things you need to know. As you mentioned, Armand, 70s will return quickly. 80s are possible by Friday, but we still are going to remain very dry going forward. Now, it is going to be a cool night, and there are frost advisories in effect for Juneau and Adams County, as well as counties in northern Wisconsin, as some areas could see temperatures dropping into the middle 30s. Looking at the forecasted lows, lower 40s are in the forecast for southern Wisconsin, but central Wisconsin easily going to drop into the 30s for a few locations. May even see some isolated areas drop all the way to freezing. We haven't really seen that so far this season. Now, afternoon high temperatures are going to be very comfortable the rest of the week. Right around 70 for tomorrow, lower 70s for Wednesday and Thursday. 81 is the forecasted high for Friday, but then we're going to drop pretty dramatically for the weekend. And early next week, we could see high temperatures near 60, but take a look at that normal level. These 60s we're seeing, that's what we're normally supposed to see. And by the end of the 10-day forecast, the average high will be in the upper 50s. So by then, even the 60s will be above average. And as I talked about, conditions are also going to remain dry. Very little chance of rainfall. Small chance of rain for Friday and over the weekend. But at this point in time, we are not expecting much. All right, let's talk about the tropics now. Category 5 hurricane. This is Hurricane Milton. Take a look up here. Some of the wind gusts are up to 200 miles per hour in the center of this storm. It is expected to track right into Tampa. Might weaken to a Category 3, but that still is not going to reduce the damage by a whole lot. We're going to see severe storm surge and possibly some catastrophic damage around the Tampa area, which they haven't really seen a direct hit from a hurricane like this in quite a while. So they've had, obviously, Hurricane Helene they had storm surge, but the eye hit the Panhandle. We haven't really seen the eye hit directly into Tampa in at least my lifetime for sure. Now, here's a look at the future cast. Around Wednesday morning is when things will ramp up, and that eye is expected to make landfall later in the day on Wednesday, possibly Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. But the system is going to clear up pretty quickly. By Thursday afternoon, evening, it'll be off into the Atlantic. And the one small silver lining is that it's not expected to track north and impact areas in the Carolinas that are dealing with the flooding. It really is only going to impact Florida. But even though it will only impact Florida, it's still going to likely produce catastrophic damage. So total precipitation well over 5 inches, possibly up to a foot of rainfall. And this doesn't even include the storm surge that will likely impact the coast. Again, thoughts and prayers go out there because this could be a very, very big storm. This could be this storm for Tampa could be what Hurricane Katrina was for New Orleans. That's how severe this storm could be. So again, a very, very strong storm. Thankfully, you know, our area, we're looking pretty quiet. We'll see high temperatures in the lower 70s next couple of days, possibly 80 Friday, then 60s for next week.
And you can feel it in the air. It is grilling season. We'll tell you what Luke Fickle cooked up this weekend next on News 3 Now.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
With Sweeto Metal Roofing, you get quality metal roofs installed by the best in the business. A metal roof means no fading, no storm repairs, true sustainability, and lower energy bills.
Sweeto Metal Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
This is Ford Truck Month, with big offers on the trucks that don't subscribe to the word impossible. Like the off-road ready Ranger, the adaptable Maverick, plus F-Series, America's best-selling trucks, featuring the 2024 Ford F-150, and Super Duty, the North American Truck of the Year, all with offers that make owning one possible. This is Ford Truck Month. Choose FlexBuy on F-150 and get 1.9 APR financing for 66 months, plus $2,000 FlexBuy and $1,000 open bonus cash. See your Wisconsin Ford dealer.
Stanton Optical believes eye care should be affordable. Right now, for only $135, you get 2 pairs of progressives, plus all this. All that costs over $200 everywhere else. Book your eye exam today. Stanton Optical, easy's our thing. Welcome to Too Good to Guess. Can you guess how much 2 pairs of progressives, a free eye exam, and anti-glare lens upgrade will cost at Stanton Optical? Only $135? Wow, a deal so good, every customer wins. Book your eye exam at Stanton Optical today.
I'm Ken, and I'm a former Trump voter. His disrespect for the military, for the people that serve in the military, and for his incessant lying, his total lack of character, there's no way that I could support him to be president of the United States again. As far as the choice to vote for Kamala Harris, absolute no-brainer. Absolute, total no-brainer. No hesitation from this lifelong Republican whatsoever.
Republican Accountability PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Brian Stiles said he's proud of his extreme record. So why is he lying about it?
Stiles said he was proud to be part of a group pushing to gut Social Security and Medicare, that he proudly supports abortion bans. And Brian Stiles said he's proud to be backed by extremists pushing a total ban nationwide. Peter Barca's backed by police, firefighters, and unions because Peter puts Wisconsin first, no matter the party, and that's something to be proud of.
I'm Peter Barca, and I approve this message.
It's no secret Robertson is Wisconsin's aesthetic leader, but with results this natural, patients can keep it a secret if they want. Our secret to reducing stubborn body fat, Cool Sculpting Elite, the newest technology available. Book a free consultation to learn how Cool Sculpting is different at Robertson.
Empire makes it so easy that you just don't need to shop around. Everything that we need to get it done and get it done right. The new flooring just changes your whole house.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. Experience the Channel 3000 News app today. Enjoy a website-like layout and swipe through articles without returning to the home screen. Download the Channel 3000 News app, powered by News 3 Now.
Well, don't look now, but basketball season is right around the corner. Case in point, today, the Wisconsin men had held their annual media day where they answered all sorts of our questions. And the theme for this group so far has been competition. They've been getting after it in practice, and you could say the Badgers are looking forward to their season opener on November 4th against Holy Cross.
I'm constantly saying, like, 31 days until our first game, and November 4th is our first game. October 30th is our River Falls, 20th is Red White. Like, I've got everything in my head. Like, I'm really locked in, and I'm really excited about, you know, actually being a Wisconsin Badger.
We're excited to start practicing and playing against people, not with the Wisconsin across the chest. Kind of getting sick of that, but whatever. I mean, it's been fun to get better with these guys.
The temperatures are dropping and the leaves are changing. It's starting to feel like fall. So this weekend, Luke Fickell, he decided to break out the grill and his spatula and serve up his first ever 50 burger. The Badgers bludgeoned the Boilermakers, winning 52-6, and the offense was electric, scoring 3 times through the air and another 3 times through the ground. For Luke Fickell, it was the get-right game for all get-right games.
Really was an impressive day and a day that we needed in a lot of ways. So I know for myself, I just bring it back up to the 41 seconds to go in the end of the third quarter. And I was trying to communicate to our offensive coordinator to run the football so that we could get to the fourth quarter. And for the first time, I could head down and enjoy jump around a little bit.
And one of the standout performers in that high-flying win, of course, who else but freshman wide receiver Trech Kekahuna. He was named the Big Ten's Freshman of the Week. That comes off of a career day where he had 6 receptions for 134 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Speaking of pairs, they say the best things come in twos. This week, UW volleyball freshman Charlie Furbringer, well, she also brought home the medals, getting the Big Ten Freshman of the Week for volleyball. She tallied 68 assists over 6 sets while leading the Badgers to a 2-0 record this past week, which, of course, included the battle for UW, a win over 25th-ranked Washington on Sunday. And Wisconsin women's hockey is off to a 4-0 start to the season, outscoring teams 34 goals to 2. Yeah, that's not an error. So naturally, they earned a couple of weekly honors as well. Casey O'Brien was named the WCHA Forward of the Week. She had 3 goals and 4 assists this weekend, while Caroline Harvey, anchoring the other end of the ice, was named the WCHA's Defender of the Week. We'll be right back.
Are you searching for a fresh career? Then join the team at Chalk D Building Systems. We're expanding, now with 2 Sun Prairie locations, and we're looking for individuals to join our team as assemblers, material handlers, order pickers, and machine operators. Chalk D Building Systems competitive pay starts at $22 per hour, plus comprehensive benefits. 3 shifts are available with overtime potential, and you'll become part of our 100% employee-owned team. Make your next career move on the careers page at chalkd.com.
Are undocumented immigrants that are the least likely to commit a crime.
Meet Edwin Ramos,
This illegal immigrant murdered 3 Americans. An MS-13 gang member. Ramos was arrested for a gun crime, but as DA, Kamala didn't prosecute him. Months later, Ramos murdered a man and his 2 sons in cold blood.
Are undocumented immigrants that are the least likely to commit a crime.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Kamala Harris is going to significantly raise taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
At Spectrum, we believe every day unlocks unlimited possibilities to bring you closer to the people and places you love. Spectrum transforms your gaming experience into a galaxy of adventures. And with the fastest, most reliable internet, you're always front row to the entertainment you love, no matter where you are. Get Spectrum Internet Premier for $30 per month when bundled plus a 3-year price guarantee. Call 1-833-440-0029. Spectrum Internet puts streaming live TV, sports, and popular apps all at your fingertips.
You don't need to battle addiction alone. Contact the great people at Wood Violet Recovery today. You could be on your way to recovery the same day. Wood Violet Recovery works with a wide range of insurance networks, so a large portion of your treatment may be covered. Wood Violet Recovery will create the treatment plan that best suits your needs. Unlike other rehab facilities, phones and laptops are welcome. Today may feel dark, but there's a brighter tomorrow. Contact Wood Violet Recovery now.
There are over 21,000 Wisconsin veterans struggling to pay for rent and utilities.
Thank you for your service.
Many are also facing issues with their mental health.
Thank you for your service.
We must do more to help these heroes who have already sacrificed so much.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Words simply aren't enough.
I'm sorry.
Make a difference by donating to this critical Wisconsin survival safety net today.
In the 608, weekdays only on News 3 Now this morning.
New Tuesday, Stephen Colbert welcomes a special guest.
Surprise, it's Kamala.
Vice President Kamala Harris comes to The Late Show. New Tuesday.
Final check of the forecast?
Yeah, we're going to see some pretty quiet weather. We'll see very dry conditions with a warm up and then a cool down for next week.
Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful night.